I'd like to talk a little bit about using the Lockdown browser. And the first thing I would recommend to do is to review carefully tips for success on remote exams and quizzes. And I'd also remind your students to take a look at that before the first quiz. And this gives all the do's and don'ts for what students should do when using the Lockdown browser. So these are the things we're looking for. Take a good look at that. And when a student's in violation of something, it's a lot of times appropriate to give them a warning. Sometimes it might be real egregious, and you'll just automatically want to either take off points or give a 0, both of which you can do. I would always give them the option to talk to you about it, though, to meet with you and discuss it when you do take off points. So make sure to do that, to be in communication with them about anything they may have done, anything in which they weren't in compliance, etc., etc. So now I wanted to give a few examples. To use the Lockdown browser, you just click on Lockdown browser. And for this, I'm going to take a look at the Chapter 1 exam. So I'll click that little arrow, class results, and then we'll see all the results. Now it's going to have the students flagged in order of priority. It might even be a good idea for the very first quiz, maybe even the first 2, to look at everybody and just make sure that they're doing the environmental check correctly and all that kind of thing, and let people know what you're looking for, what you're not looking for. Or you can focus on the people who have flags. And so often it's just, some little issue that maybe they weren't aware of, that you just need to prompt them on it, and not really so much that it was, some egregious violation and they were trying to cheat. So let's take a look at this first student. Okay, he's got a ton of flags, and it turns out I went through it and everything was fine. And by the way, when you can do this in a couple ways. You can click to the flag and it'll take you right there. Or you can click to the thumbnails. You can also scroll about with this. So however you'd like to get there. But you'll see that in the background, he has a flyer here, or whatever it is, but it's a face. And so the computer is recognizing that, and that is what all of those flags are about. So I just needed to tell him to take it down and not have that on the wall when he was taking exams, and then there was no problem after that. Okay, let's look at another one. Okay, this guy could use a shirt. But in this case, now he lost his internet connection, so that was something I had to ask him about. So, if that kind of thing happens, and also there was an issue with his environmental check. So, I touched base with him on that, and we got that corrected for the second time around. But yeah, for those kinds of things, I would recommend, just contact your student and letting them know and seeing what the issue was. Okay, in this case, once again, okay, as in the case of the first video I pointed out, there's multiple people in the frame. For the first one, it was a picture of a face, but in this case, the computer is detecting there's 2 people on the screen. So I just needed to prompt her to make sure that there was nobody else in the room when she was taking the exam. In the case of this student, this is another real common thing where her face has gotten out of the frame. She's still there, but half of it's missing. So you can see that resulted in a number of flags. And you just have to let them know to make sure that their face stays in the frame of the camera. That's a real common thing. It comes up quite a bit. Okay, here's one last example from this class. In the case of this student, he had, again, a student walked in, so I just had to prompt him to let him know that he needs to be completely alone for the exam and make sure he has a private spot. Let's take a quick look at another class. So again, to access this, I'll click on LockDownBrowser. I'm looking at the Chapter 6 exam. I'll click on class results, and then all the results pop up. Okay, this one has a lot of flags. As you can see, it's almost the whole thing is flagged, but what's happening is he's half out of the frame. So I just had to prompt him to make sure he's fully in the frame because, to be honest, a lot of times I really can't see him enough to see what he's up to there. But it ended up just being something I needed to prompt, and then we got that taken care of. And in the case of this student, you can see that her face is simply coming out of frame in a number of cases, and so it's flagging that every time. Okay, so as you can see, it really is a case-by-case basis, and a lot of times it's just a matter of checking in with the students early on in the semester, correcting some errors, and then by the end of the semester, you really don't have to deal with so many flags, and it's not so much of an issue. Please let me know if you have any questions about anything, and if there's ever an issue that comes up and you're not sure how to handle it, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I'd be happy to take a look at it. Gracias, adios.